Have you ever just stopped and asked yourself that? You're sitting in a totally quiet room, but inside your head, it's just loud. It's that feeling of being completely overwhelmed by your own thoughts, right? Well, the simple and maybe kind of shocking answer is it's designed to be that way. Seriously, this constant mental chatter, it isn't some personal failing. It's actually a direct result of the world we've all built around ourselves.
Okay, so where is all this internal noise actually coming from? Let's break down the sources of all that chaos in our heads.
I mean, think about it. From the second we wake up, we're just hit with this barrage of stuff. Constant decisions, what to wear, which email to open first. Then there's the endless stimulation from all our screens. And on top of it all, this relentless pressure to just do more, think faster, react instantly. It's basically a perfect recipe for a mind that never, ever gets a moment of peace. But what if there's a different way? Not some strategy to fight the noise, but a way to design a life where the noise barely even gets a chance to start. This is what we're going to call an architecture of quiet.
And this slide right here, this shows the huge difference. On one side, you've got forcing quiet. That's the brute force method, right? Willpower, discipline, constantly battling the noise. It is exhausting. But on the other side, you have designing quiet. Now, this is about shaping your environment so the quiet just becomes the default setting. It's not about trying harder, it's about living smarter.
So, how do we actually do this? Well, we can find some incredible examples in Japanese culture. So let's dive into 9 really powerful habits that perfectly show this whole philosophy of designing for quiet. First up, stopping before excess. This could be anything, stopping before you're stuffed, before you're totally exhausted, or just overstimulated. By stopping at satisfied, like you see in that shorter bar, you're keeping your nervous system out of stress mode. Your mind stays regulated, and it never has to tip over into that overwhelmed state. And this idea of stopping before you go too far, it totally extends to how we eat. In Japan, meals are often very structured, very portioned, and this isn't just about nutrition, it's about psychology. It's about cutting down on decision fatigue. Here's the key takeaway, right? Every single choice we make, no matter how tiny, it uses up mental energy. So by simplifying something as basic as a meal, we save that precious energy, and that leads to a much calmer mind for the rest of the day. Simple. All right, now let's see how this same idea applies to movement. Habit 3 is all about integrating walking into your daily life, not as some chore you have to label exercise, but as a really natural way to just process your thoughts. And here's the crucial difference. Intense exercise can sometimes just become another stressor on your to-do list, right? It stimulates the body. But a simple walk that actually soothes the nervous system, it lets your thoughts untangle themselves naturally without you having to force anything. Now think about the actual noise around you. In a lot of public spaces in Japan, there's this quiet that comes from a shared awareness, It's not just a bunch of rules. And this has a really profound effect on our minds. So think about what that does to your brain. A loud, chaotic place forces you into high alert mode, constantly scanning for threats. But a quiet environment, it gives your brain permission to relax, to just soften. The calm is already there. You don't have to fight to create it. This same idea extends to our visual environment, too. The habit of cleanliness, it isn't about being perfect. It's really about reducing your brain's workload. Every single object in a cluttered room is another piece of data your brain has to process. It creates this constant, low-level visual static. A clean, simple space just gets rid of that background noise, and it lowers your subconscious stress without you even trying. So, be honest. How many tabs do you have open right now? Well, this habit is the antidote. It's about giving your full attention to one thing at a time. Eating while you're just eating. Walking while you're just walking. That's it. Look, we've all bought into the myth of multitasking, but it's really just rapid, super inefficient task switching. It completely fragments our focus and directly ramps up anxiety. When you actually give one task your full attention, your mind can finally settle into a state of flow. Now, this sense of order, it doesn't just apply to our to-do lists, it extends to our social world. In Japan, there's this really strong habit of being aware of other people in public, and that creates a very predictable, orderly social environment. And this psychological payoff for that is just huge. When you can pretty much predict how people are going to behave around you, your brain can finally drop its guard. It doesn't have to stay defensive. That social stability is a really powerful antidote to anxiety. So what about our inner world? Well, This habit is about emotional pacing. And this is not about suppression. It's about understanding that when an emotion pops up, you don't have to react immediately. You can just observe it. And you learn that it'll often pass all on its own without you needing to have some urgent, chaotic response. And finally, habit number 9 ties this whole thing together: predictable rhythms. Having a general structure to your day, when you wake up, when you eat, work, and rest, it creates this really powerful sense of order. And it all comes down to this one key contrast. Chaos demands our brain's constant attention. It has to be on high alert. But structure and predictability, those things signal safety. And when our brain finally feels safe, it allows itself to be quiet. So when you look at all 9 of these habits together, you start to see they're not about adding more stuff to your to-do list. They're about a fundamental shift in how you approach your day. It's about living differently, not just trying harder. So the central idea to really take away from all this is simple. The path to mental clarity might not be found in more effort or more discipline or more struggle. It might just be found in redesigning the small, everyday structures of your life. So my question for you is this: looking at your own day, what is one small thing, a meal, a walk, your workspace, that you could redesign, not to force quiet, but to just let it happen naturally? Think about it. Thanks for tuning in.